You can introduce yourself in the chat box, tell us what you do and where you are from, so everyone else can know about you as well. And I know that the majority of the audience are project controllers or interested in the project control. If that's the case, you are in the right place because this session and the whole conference is prepared for highly targeted project control audience. Hi Hasib from Pakistan, Raul from Saudi, Vladimir, Serbia. Hi Ayaz, Akash from Bahrain. Hi Raman from India. We have people also from Nigeria, Oman, Pakistan, Saudi, Germany, Botswana, Sri Lanka, Dubai, India, Lesotho, Pakistan, Peru, Philippines. Like we have so many people from many countries, and we can all connect at the same time right now. So thank you again for joining us. Um, we have also people from Kenya and Qatar, Bangladesh, Egypt. All right, so today I have Mr. Fahad Ali, and I wanna give him an introduction before we move on and start the presentation. He is the project control manager in KBR AMCDE in Saudi Arabia. He has been managing a portfolio of theme parks such as Dubai Parks and Resorts, Medan, Grandstand, mixed-use high-rise buildings, including the civil and MEP works, infrastructure, variety of them, roads, sewage, portable water, irrigation, street lighting, substations, LV and HV work, stormwater, and bridges. From the design phase until the handing over to the end user, he is efficient user of project management software like Primavera P6, APP, Microsoft Project, Aconex, Unifier, PM Web, Tylus, AutoCAD, SharePoint, Power BI, and Synchro Pro BIM for deep planning. He has overall over 18 years of experience in planning, scheduling, monitoring, risk management, closing, and forensic delay analysis. He has sound knowledge of conditions of contract, FIDIC, standard specifications, and construction methodologies. We are very grateful for Mr. Fahad to join us and to participate because preparing a presentation takes time and effort, and he was willing to share his experience with us. So this is something we truly appreciate, and we believe that he is a good asset to this event. So, Mr. Fahad, thank you very much for joining us, and you can start your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sama, for giving the introduction. So let me share my screen at first. So as you have already introduced me in detail, so I will not go in my introduction by myself. I will just directly start the presentation. So my screen is visible to you now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. So my topic of the presentation is comparison of time impact analysis and window analysis. So basically, in theory, there is a lot of literature available about the time impact analysis and window analysis. And these are the same techniques these are two methods of the same technique, basically. So we will go and study in depth how the time impact analysis is implemented in P6 and how the window analysis can give a different point of view in time of extension of time. So I will be explaining the importance of fragments. Then I will explaining the time impact analysis method with a case study. Then I will go for window analysis with an example. And then I will go for comparison of these two methods, and finally the conclusion. So the fragments are additional activities inserted in an impacted program. Those fragment activities are not part of baseline program. Purpose is to visualize the chronology of the delay event in the program. This targeted approach helps in understanding the impact of changes or disruptions on the critical tasks without having to rework the entire schedule. The fundamental reason of delays in the construction projects are delay in authorities or permit approvals, change in design and scope, unforeseen site condition, and force majeure are the common basis of delays and hence the basis of fragment activities. Change in design leads to variations, and sometimes positive variations comes up with new scope and additional work which wasn't defined in the project plan. Therefore, in order to accommodate such change, fragment activities are introduced in the program and linked with the relevant segment of the project works. Similarly, unforeseen site conditions causes a delay to actual project work and hence demands the introduction of fragment activities. Similarly, any other delay event activities can be inserted to make an impact on the baseline program. So these are the basis of the fragments, how the fragment are inserted in the program. Second point in the fragment importance is the fragment chronology. So the chronology of fragment activity is as much as important as the impact of delay event. If the fragment activities are defined in a proper chronological order in the program, along with all supporting documents in separate appendices, then the contractor has substantiated the delay event properly. This can increase the chances of win without much struggle during the evaluation phase. The contractor should add as much fragment activities as required for each stage of delay event with proper start and finish dates. This helps in visualizing the chronology of delay event. In this example, the delay event, you can see now. So in this example, delay event fragment is described in a chronological manner, and one can easily understand the reason of delay and its impact. So you can see the steel reinforcement material delivery was planned as per the program on 10th of January. However, due to unforeseen reason beyond the contractor control, it wasn't happened in time. So the contractor sent a delay notification on 5th of January that the delivery will not be in time. Hence a fragment activity inserted for this. Then a fragment activity added for actual delivery date of steel reinforcement. This actual delivery date should be linked with the baseline program activity of delivery. This is how fragment activities show the chronology of delay event. Suppose if the fragment for delay notification is missed in the impacted program, then a question mark can be raised by the evaluator. Did the contractor notify delay event in time according to the contract, which becomes the basis of first quality check of delay event. So don't skip any fragment activities which explain the delay event. I'm just giving this as an example. There might be hundred of other examples that can be described and presented to show the chronology of event, not necessarily a delay notification. There can be several other sub-events that will describe the fragments. Next step for the fragment importance is the fragment relationship. So I would like to explain the importance of relationship and their impact on the project completion date. Activities within a fragment are often linked in a sequential manner, where the completion of one activity triggers the start of next. This helps in accurately modeling the flow of work and identifying potential delay. The activities are connected using logical relationship, which most of you guys will be aware of. This is as finish to start, start to start, finish to finish, or with some lags. So you guys might be aware of these relationships as you are all of working in this field. So these relationships define how the start of one activity affects the start of another one. For example, excavation and pipe laying can be linked with finish to start relationship, as well as start to start with some lag. So it depends on the site condition. In any case, relationship should not drive the impact more than the realistic impact. So what does it mean? It means that if at site there is a possibility of making excavation and pipelaying activity with some lag, that should be considered in the impacted program, rather linking those activities finish to start and showing a big impact on the project completion date. So ultimately, it will be evaluated at some point, and then that time it will be there is possibility of reduction in your EOT. So the impact should be realistic, so all the parties can agree on the relationship, and they can understand, yes, this is the realistic site condition, how the things will work on. So second thing about the duration. So duration of fragment activities depend on the baseline duration. What does it mean? The duration of fragment should not be more than the assumption set in the baseline program. So for example, if the duration of excavation of trench is 20 linear meter per day, the new fragment activity duration should be calculated based on the same assumption. So now in the fragment activities, you cannot consider a duration with an assumption 10 linear meter per day, because that is not the basis of the baseline program. Similarly, duration of all other sort of work like engineering submittal and approval duration usually defined, it is mentioned somewhere in the contract, or even if it is not mentioned, then it is agreed between the parties that this is the acceptable duration for the approval and the submission, and the same duration should be considered while defining the engineering submittal or approval activities in the impacted program. If suppose there is some new work due to some additional work or positive variation, in that scenario, and there is no basis provided in the baseline program, then it is usually recommended the contractor should consider norms or a mostly used practical method, the production will be this much for this activity, and he should consider that one. But that should not be on an exaggerated side or on a very lower side. Okay, so I will go with the time impact analysis. So in this section, I'm going to explain the time impact analysis by a case study. Time impact analysis is performed on updated program. Selection of updated program depends on the start date of the event. Updated program with data date prior to the start date of the event provide the most recent status of the project. Once the program is selected on which the impact of delay event is imposed, pregnant activities are inserted as per process explained in my previous section. After the insertion of pregnant activities and linking with the relevant activities in the program, impacted program is rescheduled. If the delay event has impacted activities on the longest path, then a new project finish date would be achieved in the result of scheduling the program. Difference between the project finish date before the impact of delay event and after the impact of delay event will determine the entitlement of extension of time due to that specific delay event. Time impact analysis will be repeated as many times as the number of delay events. I will explain this thing in my next section. So, according to privacy status, I can't disclose the project name and other relevant information. However, basis of this event is change in design, and a new scope of work was added in the program. As per original scope of work, HDP pipe material was given in the shop drawing and BOQ for water network. However, during the authority's approval procedure, authorities engineer proposed a new type of material. In order to cope with the change, the contractor had to repeat the shop drawing submission and approval process, and at the same time, lead time of this new material was different than the procurement duration, which was approved earlier in the baseline. Hence, new fragment activities were introduced in the program for revised shop drawing preparation and submission and approval of shop drawing. The new fragment activity, as you can see, it is highlighted in the blue color, and you can see my cursor, DE05-33, new shop drawing being prepared based on new IFC for the potable water. So this activity was impacted with the duration of 58 days. As per new change, engineering process extended till 23rd March, which is the finish date of this event. And then this was linked, this activity, this fragment activity was linked with an existing activity in the program, which is the existing utility potable water layout approval. You can see this was linked from that point in here. So this activity was linked, and then the schedule was run. So as per because this is a summarized layout of impacted program, and it does not reflect all the fragment activities. So it is not showing the full activities, fragment activities. So contractual finish date of the project was 3rd July 25. And after the impact of this delay event, the project finish date slipped to 6 November 25. So you can see how this program, how this delay event has impacted the finish date. So I would like to add in here, because for this delay event, the data date of the program was 24th January, which was the closest date, updated program available closest to the event start date, when the engineer gives the instruction to the contractor to proceed with the new change. So we selected this program to make an impact and show the delay due to this event. So while this program was selected with a data date of 24th January, the program forecast finish date was 2nd October, which is not shown here. And once we added this delay event and we linked it the impacted activities, the finish date jumped from 2nd October to 6th November. So this is how we can see after rescheduling, the delay event has impacted the finish date. Now, P6 users and all the planners who are using the P6, they might be aware of this method. So P6 allows the users to present the longest path without navigating through WBS. So in this layout, one can easily identify the flow of works without being distracted by WBS headings. It is a good practice to show the longest path before the impact and after the impact of delay event. However, for the sake of this presentation and due to time limitation, I have included the longest path only after the impact. As you can see, according to this impacted longest path, the driving activity is the one inserted as fragment activity on the longest path. So this activity has impacted the longest path of the project. Evaluator must take care about reviewing the longest path, because it might possible sometime it happens. Now you can see the path is in a very ordered manner. It is showing finish to start, finish to start to start, but there is a complete logic. Sometimes because contractor has to link the relationships in order to move their resources. So evaluator, he must take care the longest path should be realistic. It should not have the gaps, or it should not have the resource driven logic. If in any case he will find some logic due to resources, he will try to omit that logic, and then it will show a proper realistic sequence of activities from starting from the first activity, and then it is leading up to the project finish date. So this is the thing that evaluator, they must take care. It should not be driven by unnecessary delays in the program. I will not call it delays, but the logic. Okay. So the conclusion of this delay event, according to time impact analysis, is as following. This event has impacted the project completion date by 126 days from the finish date of the let me move my from the finish date of the project, which is the contractual finish date, it impacted 126 days. However, as I mentioned earlier, the project forecast finish date before the impact of delay event was 2nd October, and it was already showing a delay of 91 days. And after the impact, it pushed further to 126 days. So now in this time impact analysis, it is difficult to identify from where the 91 days was driven and who was the true driver of this delay. And then this event has further impacted up to 126 days. So we can say that this event has an impact of on the project completion date for 126 days. But this method is not showing you what are the concurrent delays, how we will have to assess the concurrent delays. There might be several other delays during the same period of time, which are hidden in this time impact analysis method. So for that purpose, we will have to go through the window analysis in order to check the concurrency. I will define the concurrency in the next coming slide. So let's move to the window analysis. So window analysis is performed to analyze all delays in a specified period of time. So usually project timeline is divided into equal windows or slices, let's say monthly, till the cutoff date of the claim. For each month, updated program is analyzed to assess the ownership of delay event. Suppose in the first window, project is delayed by 7 days. Driving activity of this path is analyzed, and reason of delay and the ownership of delay is identified. This is recorded in the longest path 1. In the next step, program is crushed in such a way that this path replaced by the next path. Suppose after iteration process, next path shows a delay of 4 days. Then again, reason of delay and the owner of delay is identified for this path as well and recorded as longest path 2 delay. This iteration process is repeated until the finish date of the previous window is achieved. That is the 0 delay in this window. All delays in the windows are now recorded and listed. Same process is repeated for all successor windows till cutoff date of the claim. In this way, net delay are calculated for all parties. The period where the contractor and the employer are delayed at the same time is recorded as concurrent delay. In the successor session, I'm going to explain in detail with a case study. So this is, I will explain the case in the primavera slides as well, but I'm just giving you a brief intro how the window analysis looks like. So this table shows you the content of all the window analysis. The first column is explaining, let me explain this table at first so you can understand what it is. So the first column, it is showing the window number. My window number 1, 2, 3, all the window numbers are shown in the first column. The second column is showing the path number for each window. So it might possible, and as you can see from this slide, there are more than 2 or 3 paths in one specific window. So that is the part of iteration that we will have to do. And for each event, you will have to define. The third column is describing the delay event. What is the originator or the driving activity in that specific window for that specific path. Then next column is just a representation of the reference program that we used for the analysis. For it should be a good practice to give a specific number and name, a reference number to each program for readers to assess it properly and make the relationship properly. The next column is about the window start date, when the window is going to start. In the next column, it is the program data date. What is the data date of that window, which is usually the next data date of the program. Then next column is showing the duration of delta B and A, which means it shows the window's duration, right? What is the window slice period? And then there is a column for project completion, and then the forecast project completion date. And then there is employer delay in the window calendar. And then there is a column for the contractor delay in the window, and then the culpable party column, and then the delay event description. So this is how this table has been established. So in my example, I have splitted the project actual duration into 8 monthly windows. In this slide, you can see only 3 windows. I will show the further slide. In the further slides, I will show all the windows. So I splitted the program into 8 monthly windows. As you are aware from the previous section, baseline date of the project finish date is 3rd July. In first update, which is window 1, data date is 24th August, which was the first updated program available after the start of the project, with a window period of 51 days. However, according to update, the project finish date slipped 5 days in a period of 51 days. So according to analysis of longest path 1, driving activity was sewerage material submittal, which is due to late submission of material submittal by the contractor. Hence, the contractor is culpable of this delay. This longest path 1 was crushed to find out next longest path. But at first, let me explain the crushing process and how the crushing is done. So, in this iterative process of crushing to find out next longest path, activities duration are changed to 0 from the driving activity. So, for example, in this is the path 1 of the window 1, and my first activity is starting from the received date system submittal, as I have explained earlier. So duration of this activity is the 8 days remaining duration, and all the successor submittal activities and approval activities has the duration. So in order to achieve the next longest path, I will have to make the duration of these activities 0. Once I will make the duration of these activities 0, the path will shift. Okay, so this is how the crushing is done in the window analysis. So crushing is an required experience how to crush the activities properly to reach to the next path. It is all about the experience. I cannot give you a hard and fast rule that how to identify the next longest path. But this is how the crushing has to be done one by one for all the paths for each window. Now, after you can see now this is the extract of P6 longest path 1 of window 2. Window 2 slice period was 35 days. In window 2, longest path 1, again, now you can see this is again the same driving activity on the longest path in window 2, which was the longest path driving activity for the longest path in window 1 as well. So this indicates that the delay has continued from the previous window, and hence the culpable party will remain the same in this window as well. This path was crushed by making the duration for first 3 activities to 0. So you can see if you will crush the first 3 activities, your path will shift from sewerage system to the drainage system. So this is the extract of longest path 2 for window 2, and now the driving activity has shifted from sewerage to the drainage system. And again, we identified the reason behind this delay and the culpable party. The contractor was not able to submit the drawings in proper planned period, and he could not start this activity, which was driving all the successor activities in the path. And this is how the longest path 2 delay event is impacting the finish date. Now, this is the extract of longest path 1 of window 3. In window 3, slice period was 28 days. In window 3, longest path 1 driven by a road closure activity. And this analysis of this event figured out that the contractor could not implement the detour according to the planned dates, which shifted the road closure activity. Therefore, the contractor is responsible for this delay. The forecast finish date as per this window is 11 August, which is another 1 day delay with respect to the previous window finish date, which was 10th August. And hence, this another delay of 1 day is the responsibility of the contractor. So now you can see till window 3, longest path 1, all the delays are attributed to the contractor delay event. And he is the one who is delaying the project finish date. So again, the crushing activity exercise was done for this path, and we reached to the longest path 2 of this window. So again, you can see the sewerage system submittal is appearing as the driving event for this path. That was the path 1 for window 2. So which shows that during a period of this 35 days in window 3, the contractor first delay event, first longest path is showing again as longest path 2 in the window 2. So we can stop the crushing exercise for this window at this point, since the project forecast finish date is become 7th August, which is earlier than the forecast finish date of window 2. So we can say that we have studied the delays in this window. But just let me explain this thing. It might possible during this period of time some employer delay event also contributed to the finish date, which we need to identify in this window before going to the next window. So that's why another crushing exercise was done for longest path 2 in window 3, right? And then now you can see after crushing the longest path 2 in window 3, the finish date has pushed back to 3rd August, and the delay event has shifted from sewerage emitter to the irrigation layout drawings, which is again, it is the contractor responsibility, and he did not submit the drawings in proper time according to the baseline program dates, and he is the culpable for this delay. Therefore, it can be estimated the contractor made some. At the same time, we can see the finish date has reduced, and at the same time, no employer event is appearing, which means the contractor has made some good progress during this period. Okay, so as I said, we can repeat and continued this crushing exercise on and on for each window, for each path. However, we cannot just go one by one for each path and crushing exercise for all the windows at this stage or during this session. So I will just try to stop my crushing explanation over here, and I will just move to this slide. So this table shows the summary of the iteration process for window 4, 5, 6, along with the driving activities. So as I explained earlier, the first table was showing the window number 1, 2, and 3. This table is explaining the same stuff, but for window number 4, window number 5, and window number 6. So you can see where the contractor was delayed and where the client was delayed, and delay is shown 7 days by the employer in the window 4. So I will just jump to the summary table. Okay, so this is the summarized form of all the windows. This is in this table, you can see in window 1, only one path was studied because the crushing the path 1 pushed back the finish date to the contractual finish date. Delay in this window is 5 days in a period of 51 days. In the second window, delay was 33 days in a period of 35 days. So it is not necessary that in each window period, the delay must be equal to the, window period. Because if the contractor is making a good progress, he can mitigate some of the delays. All those delays attributed to the contractor in window 2. In window 3, the project delayed by another 1 day, only in a period of 21 days. So 4 paths were analyzed, but all concluded the contractor is responsible for all delays. In window 4, overall delay reached up to 45 days, while the period delay was only 6 days in 28 days window. 4 paths were studied, and this is the first window in which path 4, driven by an event triggered by the employer's delay, but the impact is 0. Yes, it is possible the impact can be 0. So if the finish date is already reached up to the project finish date. So in this window, employer's delay is 0, and the 6 days by the contractor in successor window, it can be observed window 5 and 6 has 7 and 11 days respectively contributed for the employer, but none of those driven by path 1. Therefore, all those are concurrent with the contractor delay events. Now, you can see the importance of window analysis, how it helps to identify the employer delay events and contractor delay events together in one window. This is how the concurrency can be concluded in each window. In Windows 7, overall delay reach up to 98 days with 7 days in this window. In Windows 8, overall delay is 111 days with 13 days delay in this window. So net result in overall project completion date, the delay is 111 days in a period of 261 days, where contractor delayed the project by 111 days and the employer delays are 21 days. All those 21 days are concurrent since none of the employer delay was appeared on the longest path 1 in any of the windows explained above. So this is the conclusion of the window analysis. So this slide is about brief comparison of time impact analysis and window analysis based on what we have learned. As it is quite obvious, TIA looks forward, which is why it is prospective method, while window analysis goes back in time and find out what actually happened. Therefore, it is retrospective method. TIA can not reflect the impact of other delay events in the program except the one which is impacted for delay, while window analysis allow users to identify all delays as well as the culpable parties. So the TIA is a quick and easy method in terms of implementation, while iteration process takes too much time in window analysis. So impact of TIA method is usually more than the window analysis since it neglects any mitigation done on the later updates. As you are aware, in the time impact analysis, we take one window and we make a prospective delay, a future delay all at once, and it will draw the finish date, which finish date might be possible to crush in the further window in the further updates when we will make the impact. So the conclusion of my presentation and these methods is as following. The fragment and relationships are as much important as the methodology. Reaching an agreement on fragments among all parties can resolve the dispute in EOT claims. TIA is more suitable for individual events impacts unless mentioned otherwise in the contract. Concurrency analysis must be part of EOT analysis, EOT claims, which contractor avoids usually, not always. Lack of understanding of method leads to misleading results and waste valuable time of all parties. So it is vital to keep in mind the methodology is very much important according to the type of event and when it was occurred. So I will just conclude my presentation here, and now we can move to some answer question session. If someone has any questions, we can move on.
Yeah,
I will
thank
hand
you
over
very
to
much.
Mr. Osama.
Thank you very much, Fahad. We have few questions. First question is, are there any means to calculate concurrent delays in TIA?
Well, if there is in the TIA, as I mentioned in my earlier one of the presentation, TIA and window analysis, these are the two different methods of one technique, because in TIA, we consider one slice and we will study the delay in that one slide. So yes, we can study the concurrent delays in that window as well. We can just figure out further as the crushing was done for the window analysis one by one. We can do it for TIA as well.
Yeah, I want to also personally like follow up, like a part of the answer is The concurrency calculation at this stage is not exact 100% because it's all prospective analysis. We are modeling the event and how it will look like. So it makes sense also that the concurrency calculation is approximate at this stage as well. So because the delay analysis itself is not 100%, like it doesn't reflect the actual losses, but it gives a prospective
Yeah, I
evaluation.
agree with you because we are making a perspective, not we are just not sure what is going to be happen in the future. We are making an
Yes.
impact. Totally agree with you.
Um, a question from Ojambo. Is it always better to define or determine the delay analysis methodology when we draft the contract? Like, should we mention that in the contract, the exact, like which method to be used, the IA or whatever it might be?
So, as per my experience, in some of the contracts, it is mentioned. So, employer, or the consultants, they include one slide or one clause within the delay notification or others clause that the contractor will use some specific method, either it is time impact analysis. It is mentioned, which is, it depends. I mean, sometimes it is beneficial, sometimes it is not. Ultimately, the claims come to a point where all the parties will have to sit together and understand the realistic impact of the delay, which is based on all these methods, definitely. And then they will go through, okay, this is the event, this is the delay, and this is the method. Is it correct or no? But yes, sometimes it is mentioned in the contracts, but not necessarily all the contracts have a clause about a specific method.
Sometimes the consultant or the client doesn't even understand the delay analysis. So they will ask for collapse as built, like just because it sounds cool, but they don't understand why we should use collapse as built over others. So it really delays the process. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Another question is from Praveen. How the window duration is selected? On what basis did you create the windows?
On what basis I create the window? Yeah. So it okay, the windows duration is depend on your project cutoff date. If the project, for example, your cutoff period for claim is 10 months from the start date of the project. So now you have enough time and you have enough projects to define monthly windows, and you can analyze your program delays in a monthly basis. So I have chosen based on this concept that I have enough programs for each month to make the analysis for concurrency. So that's my basis. It is not necessarily or hard and fast rule the window should be 1 month. It can be if there is a shorter period and you want to show the concurrency in a short period, then you will select a window with a less period.
Mhm. Okay. Question from Ojambo. Like, for example, the contract is saying a specific method. Okay, it has to be used, but then we use another method that is more suitable in that case. So, should we stick with what makes sense or stick what the contract is saying?
Okay. If the contract is specifying, then the contractor will have to stick to that method. And
Mhm.
the consultant or the evaluator party, they will not accept the other method. But as per my experience, I have experienced this thing. One of the contractors, they did not follow the contractual method. They were keep on insisting and they submitted their assessment based on another method. So in that case, what happens is employer will ask the consultant, give your assessment according to the specified method in the contract. So ultimately, someone will have to show the assessment based on the contractual specified method.
Okay, one final question from Johnny. like on what basis we can estimate the duration of the fragment activities. Sometimes if we want to refer to the baseline or similar activities in the baseline, the duration was not accurate because in the actual progress, we found that there is another estimate of the duration. So the baseline duration cannot be relied on. So in the fragment, should we like use, like what is reasonable in estimating the duration? Because there is no proper reference, right?
By the
Like,
book, if you will go by the
mm,
book, the contractor has the right to consider the baseline assumption.
mm,
Regardless, he has achieved more progress in site more than the planned productivity, right? It might possible his planned productivity was 20 linear meter per day, but in reality, he has achieved 50 linear meter per day during the course of project, right? It might possible, but still he can go and ask for his basis, make his basis that my planned duration for fragment activity should be according to this basis. But evaluator, he can also argue, make an argument. No, no, no. We are practically we are achieving more progress, more productivity. So you should go for this duration for the fragment activities. So this is a debatable argument between the parties. It can be, it cannot be, but if they agreed, yes, we can go with that practical production that is already achieved at site.
yeah, we still have more questions, but maybe we can take one more question before we finish the session. From Sadat, how do we know that, or how we can determine or present that the longest path, whether it's the employers or its contractors delay? So sometimes the fragment activities will appear on the impacted longest path. So it makes sense that we, it's related to the employer. But sometimes, like even when we analyze the delays and the schedule updates, we can just see raw longest path. So how can we determine or how can we prove that it's driven by whether contractors or employers delays?
Right. So basically, this is kind of for the deep down
Mm,
investigation or analysis. For example, this is one of the example. This is just an activity driven by a existing utilities submittal and approval. So one has the evaluator who is making the evaluation of the longest path. He will have to study the whole sequence of predecessor activities, from which this activity delay was occurred, from where it was initiated, or by itself it is initiated by this activity, previous activity but completed in time. So they will have to make and check the records, all the submittals, they will have to go through the documents when what event was happened at what stage. So it is kind of investigation, or we can say that the forensic analysis. We will have to go through and dig down what is the cause of this delay. If it is not an employer delay, it might possible further, if further we will dig down this activity, it will lead to some employer delay at some point. So it need experience and expertise and analysis how we will
mm.
identify the responsible party.
And the records as well, like very strong records to prove that.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so this is it. Thank you very much, Mr. Fahad, for your time and your presentation and joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We still have upcoming session in 30 minutes. Feel free to join us. You can also sign up at projectcontrolconnect.com if you haven't already done so. You are welcome, Vinod. Thank you very much. We are glad that you found the session helpful. You are
Thank
welcome,
you.
Harold. We have high engagement from people who appreciated the session. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Fahad.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all,
Bye.
and see you
Bye.
all.